I've lived in this city my entire life, and I thought I knew it like the back of my hand. But it wasn't until I stumbled upon an old, abandoned entrance to the underground tunnels that I realized how little I actually knew. The entrance was hidden behind a dumpster in a narrow alleyway, and it looked like it hadn't been used in decades. I had to push aside a thick layer of dust and debris just to get to the door. And even then, it took me a few minutes to figure out how to open it. As I made my way down the creaky stairs, the air grew thick with the smell of mold and decay. I could hear the sound of dripping water echoing off the walls, and I had to duck to avoid hitting my head on the low-hanging pipes. The tunnels themselves were narrow and dimly lit, with flickering fluorescent lights that seemed to hum with an otherworldly energy. I had to walk for what felt like hours, my feet echoing off the concrete walls, before I started to notice something strange. The tunnels seemed to be shifting, like they were changing layout before my very eyes. I would turn a corner, thinking I knew where I was going, only to find myself facing a dead end. It was disorienting, to say the least, and then I started to hear the whispers. At first, they were faint, but they grew louder with every step. I couldn't make out what was being said, but the tone was unmistakable. It was a soft, raspy voice, and it sent shivers down my spine. I tried to tell myself it was just the wind, but deep down, I knew that wasn't true. The voice was coming from all around me, echoing off the walls, and it seemed to be watching me. I quickened my pace, my heart pounding in my chest, but the voice only grew louder. It was then that I stumbled upon an old, rickety bridge that spanned a deep chasm in the tunnel. The bridge creaked and swayed as I stepped onto it, and I had to grab onto the railing to keep from falling. As I looked down, I saw that the chasm was filled with a thick, murky liquid that seemed to be moving of its own accord. And then, I saw the faces. They were floating just beneath the surface, their eyes black as coal, and their skin gray and decaying. I tried to scream, but my voice was frozen in my throat. The whispers stopped, and the only sound was the creaking of the bridge and the gentle lapping of the liquid against the walls. I knew then that I had to get out of there. But as I turned to run, I felt a hand on my shoulder. It was cold and clammy, and it seemed to be pulling me back. I tried to shake it off, but it only gripped me tighter. And then, everything went black. When I came to, I was back in the alleyway, the dumpster pushed back into place, and the entrance to the tunnels gone. It was as if the whole thing had been a dream. But I knew it wasn't. I could still feel the hand on my shoulder, and I could still hear the whispers in my ear. I've been trying to tell people about what I saw, but no one believes me. They say the tunnels don't exist, that I must have imagined the whole thing. But I know what I saw, and I know what I felt, and I know that I'll never be able to go back to that place again.